Welcome to the After the Bars podcast, and this is Late Night Mayhem with Sam Yarbro.
Hey everybody, welcome to the After the Bars podcast. I am Sam, your gracious and humble host. That's me. That's all 9 of you cheering. Yay! Actually, it'd be more like this. Yes. So, I was going to do this show in the morning because I thought I had a tattoo. Well, the tattoo forgot that she had a tattoo. So that gave me the opportunity to come live. So I kind of sped watched the Candace thing. We're going to kind of go over a few things. There was a couple of things in there that's really stood out to me. One of the awesomest, if that's even a word, I'm just going to be making up words tonight. One of the greatest things I heard tonight was that Brian Harpole no longer works for TPUSA. Now that does deserve a cheer. That is very telling that he, after not being employed by TPUSA, and I'm guessing he went on those shows after the fact. And you notice he never mentioned anything like that, that he was no longer with them. And to be fair, I guess, even though I feel like he lied by omission, that he definitely didn't, he wasn't asked the question. So he lied, and he definitely didn't bring it up. And he's just a liar. So that was awesome. And then there's a couple other things, but we're going to get right to it. I'll be back in 2 and 2. I'll start to respond.
Good morning to the chaos we ride.
So when I get texts, my own idea is
Wake up, Sam, he's reborn again. One step forward from where he's been. Turn up the noise, flip the script today. Lights on, Sam, we've got dues to pay. A world on fire, but the winds still blow. This is Morning Mayhem, welcome to the show.
I'm gonna have to get a nighttime mayhem version of that song. I'll have to go to Suno and see if we can work that out. Good to see you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Let me just turn down my microphone a little bit because I'm hearing myself. Jen Marie, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Missed you this morning. I know it's early for a lot of you, so I should do maybe 1 or 2 of these late night shows, even though it's not late night yet. It's very dark where I'm at, so we're just gonna call it Late Night Mayhem for the people that just aren't up that early. So good to see you, Jim Marie. James Collins Cares in the house. Always good to see James Collins Cares. I guess he's whipping up some spaghetti. Is that what I'm guessing? Shell Dubs in the house. Doublelicious is in the house. Good to see you, Dub. King Yeti. Hello, heathen. Good to see you. Thompson. Hey, Thompson. Good to see you. I'm so glad you're here. Can make it. Ned and Coco Speed Shop is here, was here, still lurking here. And Zennias. Zennias says, Candace did the Fed slop swipe. I'm guessing that's supposed to be Fed slop what? I don't know. Something Fed slop-ish. I don't know. I feel like it was a pretty productive meeting. I do think it's funny that everyone did think that, that maybe they had flipped her, or that she was going to kind of just phone in the investigation from this point forward. I didn't think that at all. And I'm not saying that as in after the fact. I wish I would have said it this morning. I wish I would have talked about, all the hysteria of, because after she made that little quick video last night, everyone's like, oh, did you catch that word? She said, oh, she's been compromised, or, you know, I feel like it was pretty productive. I didn't really get to hear all of, because I was talking with my wife. I didn't really get to hear all of the things she said about Mikey's phone log. So we're gonna watch that together and react to that. I'm basically gonna just kind of start at the beginning and just kind of fast forward through some stuff, and just respond and react to some things. But the number one thing that I took from it so far was that Harple no longer an employee there, and for that matter, Dan Flood. I don't know if she talked about Dan Flood, and then also Rob McCoy. Now, Rob McCoy, I do think it's telling, because Candace did say, Erika said no, Rob McCoy's not even an employee there, but it says that he helped co-found TPUSA Faith, and I guess they kind of just said no, he's doing that on his own. Really, he shouldn't be saying that. But, he was at the memorial and he was saying he was America's pastor. So there is that. So that's a little unclear, but maybe, watching it a second time, maybe things will be a little bit more clear. So let's just get right to it. I know some girls that are hungry in the other room, and we're going to have some dinner here in the near future. Let's get to it.
Okay, everybody, Shabbat Shalom. I just want to say Shabbat Shalom to everybody back at home. Happy Hanukkah to our greatest friends and allies. And, this is a good time to mention that Israel does have a right to defend itself. Tucker Carlson is Adolf Hitler, and TikTok does need to be purchased by the Mossad. It's just how I'm feeling today. I am not different. Maybe you are different. Welcome back to Candace.
That's just a little snide comment about everyone. Obviously, she's lost her mind.
Okay, you guys are crazy. You guys are absolutely crazy. The amount of people who attacked me for sending out a tweet being like, hey, I'm good, I'm alive. We had a very productive conversation. And they were like, she got the call. She got the call. She's betrayed us. She's doing something else. I can't believe it. This has all just been a show. Calm down, okay? What do you think happened? Erika said, stop. And then I was frozen for 4 hours and 30 minutes, just like, as they just put all of these talking points
they're in the washer.
My head. That is not what happened. I keep telling you guys, I am not
For her
governable.
jeans?
I am basically akin to Kanye West. I never felt more seen than when he tweeted a lot of years ago, just fired my manager because I realized I can't be managed. That is me. That tweet right there, I was like, oh gosh, yes, Kanye, that I get this. Okay. Nobody is changing their mind, anything. How ridiculous would it have been if I'm doing all of this, investigating, asking all of these questions, and then Erika Kirk offers to answer some of these questions, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to go. I can't betray the people. I don't want any answers to the questions. I just want to ask them. No, this is the entire reason we are doing this. We've been looking at the situation going...
Right, and that's the bizarre part. The part that everyone felt that that she was going to throw away her whole brand, and like that this is all just a grifting ruse. And even like a lot of her supporters were making all these crazy posts and TikToks and everything else, saying that, that maybe that we've all been lied to this whole time and this is the end. And it just blew me away that was the response on all the social media platforms today.
Like, why can't Turning Point USA just answer basic questions? And I can tell you guys that yesterday, for 4 hours and 30 minutes, there were no rules. They said you can ask us any question that you want, anything that's on your mind, which I appreciated. And some of you guys are thinking, who is they? Who is they? It's the Jews, obviously. Just kidding. It's Justin Strife. Justin Strife was in the room. It was just Justin Strife and Erika. George joined me just for the beginning portion of the conversation because he had that thing going on that I told you on the 15th all day. He was in a conference. And then I brought my cousin Mia, the one that has a really bad attitude. I just bring her there for vibes. I think it just confuses people. They're like, I don't understand what's this person doing here. And the reality is she's like always just listening to Cardi B music. But she's my cousin and I always have her around. And so that was it. She was kind of sitting a little bit away, but at the table, it was really just the four of us until George left. And I will be honest, I did not know what to expect going into the room. I did not know if they were going to be open. I didn't know what Erika's energy was going to be like, if it was going to be more of an argument, if there was going to be legal threats. You guys were telling me not to drink water, so I didn't drink water. Well, I brought my own water, but I didn't drink that water too. It was a lot. There's a lot going on, okay? And the conversation started with Justin Strife very sensibly saying, what are we looking to accomplish here? Like, what is the actual aim of this conversation? And he was pretty clear, and Erika was very clear, that they were sort of most upset with what obviously a bit of a fever pitch, what I tweeted, that it was a God-forsaken company and people should not give money to it. And I have to own that. That's aggressive. That is actually aggressive in the retrospect. I was very frustrated. And I don't know, I felt like we weren't getting any answers and there were so many lies. And then I was getting attacked for asking all meaningful questions that was within their capacity to answer. And I told you, I definitely, my problem in life is that I can rise to anger very quickly. I shared with them that I really felt like I was under attack for telling the truth from the very beginning.
And that's really why this conversation should have happened a long time ago, right? I mean, that's obvious. And I really truly thought it was going to happen a long time ago. As being that, they were friends and they both had each other's phone number. And why couldn't they were a text away from getting a lot of this like figured out. And in turn, I'm glad that it didn't happen anytime sooner, because look at all the information we have found out, right? We found out a lot. There's a lot of, we found out, I don't know if information's the word I'm looking for. There's a lot of things that have come to light regarding the event that now was able to be brought up at this meeting. So I feel like for that reason, because maybe a lot of the other answers could have been found and people just would have given up. Well, I think there's a few people that would have given up. But yeah, it happened when it was supposed to happen. Everything is God's plan, God's will. So
casually, when I mentioned the Catholicism thing, like, what was that about? I was like, look, I say something in a tribute to him. Alex Clark and Andrew Colvett then jump onto a podcast and they're doing that weird interview, which is clearly aimed at me. And they've teased the interview. It's like aimed at me, but they never say my name. And that to me felt like it was the first, the first bit of mud that was slung, which their answer for that was, hey, that was a really crazy time. A new system had to be put into place. And by no means did Erika give any person the authority to go out and say that the Catholicism thing was a lie. It kind of turned into this big thing. Whatever. Okay, that kind of obviously was not the meat of the reason that we wanted to sit down. I will say I was immediately refreshed by the fact that one of the first things that Erika did was she owned the lies, or rather, I guess they would cage it as miscommunications that were coming from various people at the company. Like, look, this is a company with 650 people that are employed. Everybody at this time is exceedingly emotional and they are communicating, and no matter what somebody says on Twitter, they assume that this communication has come down from management, and that's not always a circumstance. But they owned right away, which felt great, that if you guys recall, Erika sat down with Glenn Beck. I actually missed this portion because I didn't get to watch the interview in its entirety, and we were pulling clips because a lot was coming out very quickly.
You know what I want to talk to you about?
Hey guys, it's Sam. Sorry to interrupt the show, but hey, can you hit that like button down below? It's absolutely free, and it really, really helps the algorithm.
But it's their verdict.
Welcome to the After the Bars podcast.
But there was a portion that was going around that was viral, and it was Erika saying that she had Charlie's phone and that Charlie never texted anybody the night before saying that he thought that they were going to kill him. And that obviously reflected poorly on me. because I was the one who said that he did, in fact, text multiple people the night before. And then I went on Jimmy Dore on Friday, Jimmy Dore's show, and I clarified. I said, Andrew Colvett told me specifically that he was one of the people that received this text message. So I got that first person. I didn't get that from a source. I got that directly from Andrew Colvett. And then somebody who had access to Dan Flood's communications said that Dan Flood similarly received a text message. They owned that right away and explained. Erika said that she has Charlie's phone. She's looking at his iMessages, and it turns out that he, like everybody else, communicates on Signal. He communicates on Telegram.
And, you know, I basically said that when old girl came out and said, you know, no, there was no messages. I think she knew that there were messages, but I did say that she would have an out with all the different messaging platforms. You know, he could have messaged on anything. He talked to people, you know, different people in different ways, different platforms, different apps. I'm positive of it. I mean, we all do. For the normal person, it's just, you know, iMessage, messages, or Messenger. That's what normal people use. You know, a lot of people do use Signal. I don't know. I do want to say, guys, that we are going to have a chat and discussion maybe at the end of the show. I do see a few familiar names that I haven't seen in a while. It's good to see you. Indigo Twin, I'm right there with you with the anti-Semitic jokes. Look, I support the investigation first and Candace Owens second. I'm not here blindly supporting Candace Owens with everything she's said or done or the way that she has, you know, but I do feel though that she's genuinely trying to figure it out. And yeah, she's making a shit ton of money doing it. You know, that live she did tonight was probably like, who knows how many. I mean, it was probably well over $100,000 she made tonight on that live, you know, with the reading of her, you know, of her ads and things. So, you know, it's definitely not hurting her. So you always have to remember that, you know, but I do believe that genuinely she does want to find answers. So,
and that when she heard me say that, they then went and looked, and yes, that what I said was true. Andrew Colvett received a message the night before, and Dan Flood received a message the night before. Now they asked me if I had actually like a concrete a copy of what Dan Flood got the night before, and I said no. Somebody told me what it said, which was almost exactly what Andrew said, which is they're going to kill me. Andrew did not know who that he was referring to were, but they clarified that the message that Dan Flood received said the left is going to kill me. So I can't confirm that one way or the other. I have to trust them on that because I did not see that concrete message. I was told that it said they. Now, obviously, we discussed the moment, and I'm laughing here because you TikTokers are actually out of control. You guys are going to be the reason that Israel gets TikTok because you guys are acting a fool all the time. And the videos were so hilarious of you guys mocking the Barry Weiss interview. It's great. It's good to laugh at ourselves. And Barry Weiss is always worth laughing at. But I was sort of like, hey, I felt name checked by the podcaster, Candace Owens, this obvious setup, and then asking me to stop. And it's interesting to hear Erika say that the reason she didn't ask me to stop in the beginning because she was actually learning things from the show. She was actually learning things, and that I think she similarly felt that Barry Weiss was trying to create a moment. Obviously, it's who Barry Weiss is. It's the Zionist lobby. She's trying to right perceived wrongs because I'm against her side. That does not surprise me. That's kind of why Barry Weiss exists. That's the reason they put her at CBS, is because she's just committed to stacking.
No, Zennias, I am going to play almost the entire thing. I'm going to fast forward to some things. There's some things that I did not see, so I'm watching that few minutes. I appreciate you being here and watching the program, but you definitely don't have to be here. Do you know what I mean? And that's just how I'm doing the show tonight.
The audience with people that are going to present the pro-Israel cause and talk about anti-Semitism and talk about like crime being on the rise. It's kind of an embarrassment, but I actually do accept that. And I should also clarify that Barry Weiss obviously picked those questions.
Also, I do feel like there was some things learned just in the little bits and pieces that I watched. There was a lot learned. I was validated on my opinion of the electrocution not being a thing. I thought that was kind of ludicrous. All the pictures I seen, and I talked about it yesterday. I zoomed in, but they were real pixelated. That there was no, the aftermath. There was like lots of charring, looking things, but it was all shadows. Anything black was shadows, and then the shiny stuff. I mean, that's dry blood. I mean, when blood dries, like, look, that's what I'm showing you right now. That's the hand when he dropped the mic. That would be all red. At least it would be bright red and burned. So yeah, I didn't really buy the burn thing. And, so yeah, that was validated. And I did find that out, and we found out the Rob McCoy thing and the Brian Harpole, situation. So I think those are huge. Those are huge because,
random, like I told you.
If there is a big conspiracy and there's other people involved, I really do feel like either one or both of those two are involved. What those guys did down there was not what Brian Harpole said he did. He was not packing his neck with gauze to stop the bleeding. He was not holding his neck when he carried the body to the car. So those are lies. And I don't know.
It wasn't like people were coming to the mic and it was an open mic and they didn't know what they were going to get. It was all very much planned by Barry. But Erika said that she knew the general idea, like they were. And
I'm going to fast forward a little bit.
Agree with me about particular people at Turning Point USA. I communicated what I communicated in front of the whole world. My skin crawled after I spoke to Terrell Farnsworth, the person who took the cameras down. He lied to me several times. I explained to them, which.
See, I haven't heard this part yet. And there's something very, very fishy about, like, I've never thought that him making that video was very fishy. I just thought he was just a weirdo, right? But combining that with the electrocution theory, because I feel like he would have had a part of that, I did start to think, well, if the electrocution theory is correct, or if there's something to it, then he would have known about that. And then this would have been a cover up to get the narrative out that it was a shooting because of the way he said, like, oh, he's just been shot. And then just being real dramatic about it. But now that the electrocution theory isn't there, I do still feel like this video is fishy. So
it felt good to have that direct communication, how Terrell lied multiple times, and that I did not understand why he was there that day. They echoed what he said. They defended what he said, that they were trying something new that day, that they typically live stream, which is what Terrell said. They typically live stream, and I said every college event. Well, they said, well, yeah, they live stream the events that are tour stops, but they don't live stream like the outside prove me wrong type events. And that was something that was new, and it required Terrell. And I said, even if that was all real, if that was all true, I still didn't feel good about the conversation that I had with Terrell, and I can't ignore my gut about the many little lies that he told. I thought the video he recorded was weird. I know he comes from a very powerful family. I personally do not trust him. And I obviously do not like the fact that I said, Tyler Boyer lied about this thing and came up with an excuse and said, well, Terrell was asked to take the camera down. That's the reason, he said on Twitter, because the police wanted him to take it down and secure the footage. And I said, I know that's not true. And they said, well, after all of that, yeah, after he took the cameras down, that's not true. And they said, well,
yeah, we all know that.
And I don't trust Tyler Boyer. And that is never going to change.
Yep.
Similarly,
none of
with
us
Rob
trust
McCoy,
Tyler either.
He makes my skin crawl. I can't explain it. I look at him and he's a bad person, and nobody can make me feel one way or the other about that.
See, I think this is big. I think this is huge news, what she talked about Rob McCoy today.
I was surprised to learn, and this kind of gets into, I guess, us not knowing the inner workings at Turning Point USA, that Rob McCoy actually does not work with Turning Point USA in any capacity whatsoever. And so him communicating as he has done, like, I'm the pastor, I'm this, I'm that, it's just not real. Like that is not real. And we should know that that's not real. And when he says that, call him out on that separately from Turning Point USA. I was operating under the assumption that he worked for Turning Point USA. And I said, if obviously that's wrong, I'm happy to correct that. But also, what were we to assume when he hit the stage at the memorial and said, I'm America's pastor, and then had the Wikipedia updated and said, well, I'm assuming he had it updated because who else would do that he started Turning Point USA Faith. So I guess to be clear, we were just wrong about that. And I will have a lot more to say about Rob McCoy and where I believe he fits into a lot of things. So
Yeah, me too. Like I'm gonna start putting together a little mini documentary about Rob McCoy. Probably gonna start that this weekend. I'm gonna set aside some other projects and start working on that. He's from my neck of the woods, the Calvary Chapel. There was a Calvary 2 blocks from my house, but the Calvary Chapel that he was the head pastor at in Thousand Oaks was in my neighborhood, basically. You know, it was a little north, but it was real close. So yeah, I'm definitely going to investigate that a little bit more. Investigate that probably more than I'm going to investigate anything, because I'm offended, right? As a Christian, I'm offended by it. I'm offended that he uses the lectern as a clout grab. He's always talking about, oh, you know, one time me and Charlie did this, and TPUSA, you know, is faith, and I'm co-founder, and my one son is the chief of staff. You know, can we just say assistant? Can we just say executive assistant? Because that's what he is. He's an executive assistant. All these political outfits like to say, you know, like, oh, he's the chief of staff, and this is the secretary of, you know, of social media, and it's all just grandiose bullshit, right? It's just all grandiose, you know. My brothers used to tease me about like all the times, you know, I would get a new job and that they would have these grand titles, and I'd be like, I'm just, you know, a babysitter, when I was the, you know, chemical dependency program director at this hospital, when really I was a babysitter, and my title just changed to babysitter who did groups, you know. This is the late 80s, early 90s. So I get it. I get the desire to have like these big grandiose titles, and you know how cool they are. But Rob McCoy really, really takes it to the next level when he talks about his kids, man. And I don't know. It just blows me away. The dude is really a POS, man. I don't know. I think we're going to find out a lot about him. Or maybe he's just, you know, a pastoral grifter kind of guy, you know, that maybe that's just his thing. You know, it wouldn't be the first time someone has used the title of being a pastor to grift and to manipulate, to use the Bible and, you know, his position in a church to grift for his own, you know, causes. So
not letting up on that. Now, one piece of this where I still don't understand it, and
exactly, James.
Okay. Now we all recall what happened. I casually say on the show, hey, I saw the footage. There was no blood. And honestly, when I said it, I didn't process how big of a deal that was with the 30-06. Very quickly, what happens is Andrew Colvett whips up this tweet about what happened with the bullet, and he said he wanted to address all the discussion that was being had about the.
All right, we don't need to watch
I'm
this.
Paraphrasing here, he says, "I apologize. It's going to get graphic," but he spoke to the surgeon, but that they did not know that. Now, obviously, we discussed the security. I brought up Brian Harpole.
Here we go.
His interview with Sean Ryan, and I think we can believe Turning Point when they say that they did not approve of this. They had no idea he was going on Sean Ryan. I think that's pretty clear. I don't believe he works there anymore. So that was kind of him just getting out there and perhaps trying to rescue his own reputation. And I think that only made his reputation worse, actually, because people rightfully sensed that he wasn't telling the truth in that interview, that he was being cagey, that he was saying things that didn't make any sense. Again, you constantly have these people that believe, like Brian Harpole, that with enough performance, he can sit down and you're just going to convince people that this is real. And this is just a different time, like I said.
Yeah, I think that's key. That it is a different time, right? It's completely different. And when he, forget about his interview with Sean Ryan or whatever his name is. With Sean Ryan, right? Yeah, Sean Ryan. His interview on Paramount Tactical was insanely bullshit, man. It was one lie after another. When he was asked the really big lies, like about, packing, what he had, all the things he had said on Sean Ryan's show. He says, well, now I don't really remember. I just know I took an inventory of the gauze, before and after. And, afterwards there was, all this gauze missing. So I had to have done it either there or in the truck or, I did it somewhere. Well, no, you lied, dude. You lied because you will remember every single bit of that, and you're a trained professional, and you have a huge history. Now, look, it doesn't mean that he had anything to do with the assassination plot of Charlie Kirk, and I would almost guess to say he probably didn't. He's just not a good security facilitator. His company is just. I can't remember who I heard say this, because you were in the military or that you were a cop, that doesn't make you a good fit to have a high-end security firm. I would trust someone who has gone to like security school and done like those, to get their security license and, on a state level more to protect me than I probably would, just because someone can fight, that doesn't mean they can provide good security or that they're deadly, that they're a deadly person like a Navy SEAL or, a Green Beret or any of those guys. Now, some of those guys do have security training and they would be good at it. But just to be a special forces operator alone wouldn't make you a great security person. It'd make you a good bodyguard for sure. For sure, a great bodyguard. But to do like high-end corporate security like that, especially when there's a high risk of volatility, of people, plotting to assassinate you, that's a totally different level. That's a totally different level. All those military terms, I had to exfil, when talking about exfiltrate, the body, off the DMZ or whatever, whatever bullshit that fool said. Yeah, you're good in the military and you're a good police officer. I think he was a cop too, but as a security police. So I just think he's just trying to save his name, kind of like what she just said. But I would take it one step further that he probably didn't have anything to do with the assassination. To flip someone that drastically. Although I did hear that he did provide security for BB, out in Philadelphia, and you guys know what I'm talking about when I say that. If you watch Coach Colin, you know what I'm talking about. And there is a grainy picture of him providing security for the president of Philadelphia. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe he could be bought. King Yeti says, what about the lie about drones? Yes. Exactly. You lied about the drones. Of course you have Frank Turek out there to say, no, they had drones. They were sending us pictures. Why they would need to lie about that. Now, granted, there's some things that he just wasn't informed on, like where you could fly and when you could fly. And, certain states, I think he was counting on like certain states, depending on the weight of your drone, like here in Montana, if your drone is over 4 pounds, you have to have a license to fly that drone. Where is my drone? I have a big ass drone. Let me get it. So like to fly this drone right here, I had to get a license to fly this in the airspace in Montana, because of the weight. I had to get a license to fly that. I was like, what? A license? It's an effing drone. You know, all my buddies have like these little drones, you know, the fold outs, and they don't need a license, but I had to get one. But that's cool. I'll get one. You know what I mean? It's not a pilot's license, of course. It's not even a sport license. But so you know, he probably does have like these really expensive drones that you need a license to fly, and then you know, also permission to fly. He probably just needed permission for, I don't know, but he lied about just even them being a part of the team and when they went up. So, also, I think we did find out a little bit more about possibly there being a meeting. Yeah, but he wasn't there at that meeting. The one tip, I think some of it was bullshit. Valhalla VFT, I think, debunked a lot of that. The guy was full of shit, and it is stolen valor, and you know, and F him, you know, for real, for stealing the valor. I am so against that, man. It is just lame. Like when you know, sometimes when I wear my camouflage hat, someone will be like, hey, in the service, I always like, oh man, no, you know, but my dad was, and I respect, you know, the Marines, especially the Marines. My dad was a Marine in Vietnam. I make sure that they know that I did not serve. I did not have the honor of serving. I did do the delayed entry program into the service. But when I was at the MEP station, I just told this story, I think live. While I was at the MEP station doing the delayed entry program right out of high school, my older brother was killed in a car accident. Him and his buddy were out partying and they were racing or something. They did a turn. And anyway, he was killed instantly. Well, my family, when they found out I was at the MEP station doing all the physicals and doing the testing, they took me out early, and I just never ended up going back to do the delayed entry program. My whole world had changed. My big brother, he was my best. He was my everything, you know. And then of course later in life, my wife was killed by a drunk driver. But anyways, yeah, it's a lot. Let's get back to it.
That these TikTokers are out of control. They will check you in 4 seconds. Okay. Things that the biggest piece of this that I want to communicate, and that I did communicate to them, and I hope that they took me seriously on this, or rather that they take my strong advice on this. I said one of the reasons why I really want to sit down is because I want to walk out of here and feel confident saying to my audience, hey, like, there's stuff going on behind the scenes, but Tyler Robinson shot Charlie Kirk. Like that, more will come out, but you can take it from me that this is what happened. I was looking to achieve that because there's been a lot of signaling from various people, some people who are experts, some people who have been involved in cases, that there's obviously going to be stuff that the public does not have access to. And so it is at least plausible that they have seen very clear footage that we've been asking for of Tyler Robinson getting up there and taking the shot. Like, they have access to UVU camera. So I was hoping to hear that. And I said that I want to hear why people feel so confident at Turning Point USA that Tyler Robinson is the guy. And at this point, they elected to call the lawyer, like, you know, their lawyer who is involved in this case, one of the lawyers that's involved in this case. There's always a team of lawyers, especially for something like this. And what I got from the lawyer did not make me feel that Tyler Robinson shot Charlie Kirk. It did not make me feel confident that he didn't or did shoot Charlie Kirk. I was very surprised by this. He spoke a very long time. I asked, you know, can you share with me what it is? And I said, when you share this with me, I will not say what that thing is. If we want to protect the integrity of the case, I'm not gonna. If you say we've got the footage of him taking a shot, I promise I won't say that to the audience. But I will communicate to them that you have something that is solid. And no, to the exact contrary, this guy effectively said, not effectively, he said that they have nothing but the affidavit. Okay, so what you have, what we have seen is what they have. What is being discussed publicly, you are this whole like non-expert problem with like, well, you don't know. It's like what you read, his messages that don't have any dates on it, Tyler Robinson writing out everything in the clean alibi, that's what they have. And what he explained to me was that that's the affidavit stage. That's where it's at. And then what takes place now is the investigation is ongoing, right? So right now they're looking for more information. And once investigators, they could very well have obviously footage. And that is why they might feel that, oh, we're definitely gonna get this prosecution. But the reality is they don't actually share that information with the victim. They don't share that information with Erika. They don't, in this part of the process, they will not know what investigators have discovered. This is what the lawyer told me until May. Okay. They have not seen anything that you have not seen, is what I want you to know. So with that in mind, I'm sitting here going, why are you signaling? Why do I feel like the public's being gaslit on this? There's been nothing that's convincing. There are so many commentators who have gone out and said to you, it's overwhelming. The evidence is overwhelming.
No, you know what, dude? Man, this pisses me off more than anything. Like if Tyler Robinson did it, then the punk ass needs to go to prison for the rest of his life. Maybe even get the gas chamber. I don't really believe in the death penalty, but maybe, right? But if they don't have anything that they can show, and I get it that there's process and this and that, but that's bullshit. That's bullshit because I've been around a lot of people in prison and fighting cases in the federal level and in the state level. And I have a legal channel where I watch hours and hours and hours of process. His lawyers need to do a show cause, a put up or shut up. It's basically like it's like a motion to, it's a motion to expedite. No, there's a name for it. Oh God. Of course, the probable cause hearing. Yeah, there's probable cause because his parents pointed him out and he turned himself in. But there's a letter. It's a letter motion. I can't remember what it is, but man, if I was his lawyer, and I don't know why they're not doing it. First of all, they're not paid. So they're definitely going to be working closely with the prosecution on this level, on the level of, hey, don't file the crazy motions that, a paid lawyer would get him out on. I can't remember the name of the letter. It's like an action letter. They need to file an action letter. So it's kind of like it's an action letter motion. It's kind of like you need to show us what's up. Because, we're sitting in here not knowing anything. If all they have is the affidavit, that's crazy. That's crazy. I would like to hear maybe Baron Coleman or someone else speak on that in a little more detail. And maybe I'll call my brother who's a lawyer in DC and I'll find out like what he thinks about it. He doesn't really follow this kind of law, but he's super smart and knows a lot about procedure. So maybe I'll try to give him a call. It's 4 hours difference there, so it's already 9 o'clock there. He has 3 daughters. I have 4 daughters. We all only have girls. It's bizarre. So I will wait till tomorrow to call him, but I will try to call him before the Morning Mayhem show and see if I can know a little bit more on that. But that's all bullshit, right? That's bullshit. It's just because there's so much attention on the case that there's like this big pause and nobody wants to divulge anything because they're like, oh, I don't want to divulge that because it's, everyone's like they're walking on eggshells before they just do regular procedure, right? Just a normal regular procedure by the defense or the prosecutors. Everyone's like walking on eggshells because of the notoriety of the case. Well, if I was Tyler Robinson's parents, I would be like, no, we're doing this like it's supposed to be done. We're not going to wait till this weird ass hearing till May. It's probably not a pretrial conference, but they're not even at the pretrial conference yet. It would be a, see this. When I don't upload to my legal channel, I have brain farts. Anyways, I'm not even gonna get to it or think about it. Let's just keep watching.
The text messages that don't have a date, that don't even sound real, that's overwhelming. That to me feels really fake and gay. I really do want to say that to every commentator that is out there trying to tell the public and insisting that if you say it enough times it'll become real. you're actually just being dishonest. And I offered that a more honest way to communicate would be to say, we think he's involved. We feel strongly. I've said that. I think he's involved. We are very hopeful that throughout this investigation, we are going to get that concrete thing. And that's where we're at right now. That's just the stage that we are at. That is not what we are getting from them. That is like, I just feel like that's really important. Like, to let you guys know, let the gaslighting stop. They have what you have, okay? There is nothing else. They are in an investigative stage. Erika has been named as the victim. They will know more in this May hearing, which is the probable cause hearing. That's what the lawyer told me. It's probable cause hearing. And that's when they will see the evidence. That's when they get to present.
See, I thought they already did the probable cause. Because I just said that, right? To wait that long, okay. Obviously, they've waived the right. I need to watch these hearings. I haven't. Obviously, they waived the right to a speedy trial. That's a given. So they probably had a show cause, and now there's going to be a probable cause. That's what it is. Okay.
Into the evidence why they are going to stand there before a judge and be like, yes, we need to move this forward. It's not just an affidavit. We're not pulling together scraps. We have concrete evidence. Until then, okay, until we all get on the same page and understand what else they have, I am very confident stating the opposite of all of my, I guess, well-paid peers, in that I don't believe that Tyler Robinson pulled the trigger. And what I also said to them was, and I said this in front of the lawyer, because I don't know why I'm like this. I was like, you might need a new lawyer. I was like, because this person's trying to sell to you that this is solid. One of the rules that me and my husband have is that if you have a lawyer that tells you like you're 100% going to win, it's very clear that you're going to win. You need a lawyer. Okay, that's a cheerleader. That's not a lawyer. A lawyer, even if you should 100% win, should be telling you the risks here. You know, I feel good about this case.
No, tell me the risks first. I don't want you to tell me I'm going to win. Not, you know, and I've been to a few trials, guilty as hell, but I fought it because, you know, they tried to say, it was 1,000, that it was a pipeline from Mexico to Montana of, illegal substances. It wasn't quite a pipeline, you need to clarify what a pipeline is. So you go to trial to fight those kind of things. But if you're innocent, which even if he didn't take the shot, he's not innocent, right? Especially if he was on the roof, because they have his DNA, right? On the screwdriver. So he was on the roof. And yeah, that could be planted. But Indigo Twin, I completely agree with what you just said. Absolutely 1,000%. So I hope I didn't make it sound like I was like saying no, that, just give us everything and the truth will come out later. No, I want them to know that, to be solid on like, okay, this is what's real and factual and here you go. But, maybe out of, a little bit of impatience, we want to see more, but, the hearing to be that far away, that's a long time. That's a long time.
Let me talk real to you. I feel good about this case, but here's where things could go wrong. I want you to understand those risks that are involved. We don't have this yet. We don't have that yet. And especially given what I told them, which is your lawyers, or the investigators rather, not their lawyers, because they're not the ones investigating. It's the state of Utah that's investigating. They have not called the one solitary person, as I told you guys, who filmed as he was on the roof. Remember the guy that's like, oh, there's somebody on the roof, and he sees him crouched down. I said, I spoke to that
We're going to listen. I'll be right back.
And his testimony would be devastating to your prosecution. He saw the person on the roof. He filmed the person on the roof at 12:23 p.m. And he did not see that person take the shot. And this is not some random student. This is a guy who trains people to shoot guns at a range. He knows guns, okay? He said what he saw was a smaller gun. He said that this person was dressed in black tactical gear and there was no recoil. That's devastating. That would be devastating to the prosecution. And yet investigators haven't reached out. Now they offered back, well, maybe they haven't reached out because they have an even clearer video and that's true. That's actually a good rebuttal. They're like, we don't even have to talk to this guy because the video will speak for itself. And we saw what we saw. Okay, but wouldn't you still want to speak to the other guy so you could prepare? I don't know, to question him something. I don't like that this investigation is going on, and I feel as though I spoke to more people than they have. Both of the people who filmed videos that day told me that they weren't reached out to. So I don't understand what's happening here. I don't understand the confidence, I guess, is the best way to say this. I told them I do not understand the confidence that is happening. Now, another really big thing that happened was they brought me Mikey's call logs. Okay. They brought
Yeah,
me
this is the
Mikey's
part I
call
wanted to get to.
logs, and that is why I
And
said
after the call logs,
this
maybe
was
I'll
a
just
productive
fast forward the
meeting.
rest of
There's
it
no
real
other way to
fast.
say
We're not
it.
going to be
And
here all
every
night, guys.
question
I haven't had dinner
came
yet.
with paperwork to show and to answer and to explain certain things. Also, which was, I thought, actually kind of sweet, that I guess I did on the previous show. I was like kind of looking at things into Mikey and I couldn't find him. And someone said, I think Mikey's not his like real name. Like they thought it was his middle name actually. And I just assumed, okay, well, maybe he's using his middle name and that's why I can't find him. But Mikey really wants you guys to know that is his real name. And it is his real name. I found out shortly thereafter that they were confusing his middle name with, they thought it was switched. That Michael is his real name, just to clarify that, because I realized I actually didn't go back and clarify that. But Mikey's call logs, big piece of this, okay?
I mean, this is a huge piece, but here's the deal. Here's the deal. It depends on how they presented these call logs, right? The call logs can be faked, especially if it's on paper form. Like I could fake a call log right now in 5 minutes, right? Like where it looked like it was printed from AT&T. That would be super easy to do. I would almost want to have the phone, right? Or to sign into AT&T and print out that call log in front of you. Don't bring me just a paper that you brought, 1,500 miles, away and brought it to me because we knew that would be a point of contention. But having said that, I don't think anyone at this meeting was complicit in his assassination, no matter what any evidence might say or how weird people are being. I think people are just weird. We all got our little weird idiosyncrasies. I know I said that wrong, but you know what I mean? We all have like our little weird things, and I don't think Erika is even a little bit complicit in his assassination. She just is nervous. She wants to come off as authentic. She's the pageant queen, there's a lot there. I do think she's smarter than people give her credit for. Absolutely. So I don't think she would bring fake call logs, but who knows, right? Who knows? For me, if I would get more views and more clicks if I was to promote, a whole series on why I think these call logs are fake. But no, I don't think so. But maybe I haven't even heard this part yet. So
I'm going to, I guess, jog your memory on what Blake said about Mikey that day, and then I'll tell you what actually happened because I don't think Blake has that great of a memory. Okay, take a listen.
So I was not with Mikey, or I don't remember being with him. I think I was ahead of him as we left. And then we get out, and I run for, can't have been more than 15 or 20 seconds. And then I realized there hasn't been another shot, so the shooter has likely been detained or stopped or something, not in immediate danger. I pause, I look.
Oh, there it is. Oh, I paused it right on time. I didn't really mean to do that. But yeah, when Baron Coleman, he's like going, and then I paused, and then I became a ninja, right? Because he does the hand movements like that. It's super crazy. Oh, that's so funny. I just happened to pause right at it. I'm going to do a screenshot of that. Hi, girls. What'd you guys get? All right. Awesome. Okay, baby. Go eat.
Look around me, and I see Mikey, there. And I will never forget what I saw, because I've seen Mikey almost every day for the past 2 years. I know his personality very well. He's a very bubbly guy. He's a very happy guy almost all of the time. And I'll never forget what I saw, because it was clear in the moment that he was profoundly freaked out. What I'll always remember is the way his lip was quivering, which I'd never seen before. And you very rarely see from someone that he was freaking out. And then I think he literally said to me, I might be imagining this, but I think what he literally said was, he was looking around, and then he says, I need to call Erika. And then he takes his phone and he begins calling Erika. And I don't want to disclose how that call unfolded, but he did that. Your mind extends all of this, but that is happening within a minute of all of this occurring. I remember he calls Erika, around the same time, I pull out my phone and I call my mom just to say, Mom, there's been a shooting. You're going to see it on the news. I'm okay. You know, pray for me. I've got to go. And I remember that call. And around the time I put that phone away, and then he immediately calls his dad. He calls Rob McCoy, and he says, Dad, someone shot Charlie. You need to call all of your pastor friends. Charlie was hit. We need everyone to pray right now. And that's what he told him.
Okay, so that's just not right. And so when he says, I might be imagining this, for I'll never forget, followed by I might be imagining this, probably means that maybe you forgot and like you really could be imagining. Now, for me personally, I think the normal physiological response in these high adrenaline situations for most people is you lock in. That they're literally your body, when it goes through something, when it's terrified and is going through like sort of like you are really paying attention to details. We've learned about this many times over.
You crystallize it. It gets crystallized into your memory. Like I told this story before, like when I was told that my brother was killed in the car accident, when I came back from the MEP station, I remember the recruiter's face. And like, if that wouldn't have happened, I never would have remembered anything about my recruiter bringing me there. But I remember being there, getting there, everyone's clothing, what people were wearing. I just said that twice, but what people were driving, where I was at when I collapsed and screamed. It's everything is very, and car accidents, same thing. Seeing someone get shot, same thing. I hesitated because I didn't know if I could say that, but yeah, you could say that. It crystallizes into your memory if I'm using the right term.
In health class growing up, this is why they talk about that fight or flight response, and quite literally there's stuff happening to your body. And so there's a lot of details here that are just not accurate. And the one that surprised me the most about these call logs is I certainly feel that we were given the impression over and over and over again that the first person Mikey called was Erika, right? He called Erika. We were told this by many people also, that he trained, like he almost like went to a camp and trained, and Charlie was like, 1, 2, 3, go, and like fast, 1, 2, 3, go. That's why he walked away. 1, 2, 3, go, and just told him, this is what the first thing you do is. Well, he didn't do that. Actually, the first person he called was his wife. He called Elizabeth McCoy, and then he stayed on the phone with his wife for 10 minutes. And during those 10 minutes, he three-wayed Erika 3 minutes after the shot went off. And then he three-ways his father, and then he three-ways a third person who I am not interested in mentioning because it's not relevant.
Wow.
This is Danny McCoy, by the way, is his brother that's in the military, but that's before the shot goes off. Charlie Kirk shot goes off. I have that in detail. Charlie's brought to security. Mikey McCoy calls his wife. They will stay on the phone for 10 minutes. Okay, in that same minute, because we know this, because Blake Neff.
See, when he's really far walking away on that sidewalk, I knew he was talking to whoever he was talking to. At that time, so Mike McCoy calls Elizabeth McCoy right at 2:24. I still feel like he was already on the phone with her because we didn't see him dial, and like no one uses speed dial anymore. You can just hit a button like the contact call, but everyone's like going, oh, he's had whoever he had on speed dial. There's no speed dial.
To his mother, Blake Neff called his mom. His call with his mother lasted 45 seconds. So we're assuming it went to 12:25. It very well could have stayed in 12:24, depending on the millisecond. Blake Neff ends that phone call with his mother. Mikey McCoy, after the phone call with his mother ends, adds Erika to the phone. Okay, so that when he was recapping and he's like, oh, his lips quivering, and he's like, I got to call Erika. And he's like, and then I called my mom.
That's all fake.
That's not right. That's just not right. Okay, Mikey called Erika after Blake Neff ended that phone call with his mother. If call logs are to be believed above, human testimony.
So here's the deal. So, we already knew Blake Neff was lying about that, right? We just knew it. Because Blake Neff will lie. He got fired from Fox TV and he got fired from Tucker Carlson for being a degenerate, racist, homophobic pig, right? And he did it, anonymously. that's a form of deceit in my eyes. And so like, we know he'll lie to like, to tell the story, to save face or to prove her wrong because he hates her, right? You can tell he hates her, but he's just a Weasley liar.
Mikey McCoy then drops Erika from the phone call 2 minutes later, and then he adds his father to the phone call. Again, he is this entire time on the phone with his wife, okay? And then Mikey McCoy ends his phone call with his father. He does call another person who I'm not mentioning because it's just not relevant to anything, not a character in the story, rather. And then he ends the phone call with his wife, and a minute later, his brother calls him back, and they stay on the phone for 10 minutes. I did not get this from everybody speaking about this Mikey McCoy call log. I know that you guys did not get this. I did not get this. I don't know why she was disappeared from this. Like, you could go, like, the wife wants privacy. No, she was like, main stage at the memorial, has been, I would say, very involved in a lot of this kind of, I think it's very close that she's close with Erika. They went on vacation together. So I don't get this disappearing act. I found that to be like, okay, but they were forthcoming with it. That feels good. That feels good, guys. Like, wow, we don't have to guess. Now we have solid answers. And like I said, when you come out and give solid answers and you're not weird and calling people names and saying all this stuff, it allows people to go, okay, I feel a bit more like we can trust this process because we have communication. That's the reality. And so
That's right.
I wanted to update you with that. Also, another thing that really, I think, surprised them and I think surprised me is getting back to this Hamptons retreat.
Yeah, I want to hear that. I haven't heard anything about the Hamptons retreat at all. So I definitely want to hear that part. What's the reason to lie about that? They probably just said, hey, will you just tell them what happened? And so like, they have this story. They just keep wanting to make Mikey McCoy seem more than what he is. It's all part of that, just that marvelous, wonderful General Mikey McCoy. Now, if at 12:35 he's on the phone with his brother for 10 minutes, when did he become the marvelous Mikey? Like, at what point did he become the general, telling people, you go there, you do that, you do this, make sure this happens? Where's that marvelous, wonderful, miraculous Mikey McCoy? Because the brave and wonderful Mikey McCoy was on the phone with his brother for 10 minutes at 12:35 after he made all the other phone calls. Where is that dude? And so, since none of that is real, why do they have to lie about that? Why are you presenting this fool to be something that he's not, to be a king, to be royalty, when he's just a fool? I don't know how I slipped into a reference of King Arthur, but it just really makes no sense, right? So I think that needs to be looked at further. 1,000,000%, 1,000,000%, and I think Erika has those answers. I think possibly to be groomed, but no one will ever fill Charlie Kirk's shoes. Period. No one. What's burning? Oh, geez, man. It's something smelled like it was burning. It was a match. So yeah, there's something there. There's something there. Now, I don't know if it has anything to do with the assassination, but look, if Rob McCoy's involved, Mikey McCoy's involved. If it ends up being like that, if there ends up being something more with, I don't even call him pastor because he's not a pastor to me. With Rob McCoy, then Mikey's definitely involved. Definitely involved. Because Rob McCoy always said, I have big plans for you, son. I got big plans for you. Big plans. Big plans, see? I'll put the screws to you, see? I got big plans for you, son. Let's get back to it. Why not? Why not?
The thing about the Hampton Street, and I communicated this with them, that makes me so uncomfortable is how many little lies were told. I think I've been.
Hold on, I have to laugh at this with King Yeti. He makes more three-way calls than a lifer. That's right, bro. Oh yeah, man, that is so funny. I will explain that to the crew tomorrow morning. What you mean by that? Because they're probably like, "Why is that funny?" Oh yeah, don't let me forget to laugh about that with you guys tomorrow. Hopefully, I won't forget. Okay.
Clear about that? Like Seth Dillon definitively pressed Charlie at this event. Now, whether it was in a hypothetical, which it was in a hypothetical, but he got fired up in the hypothetical of Charlie discussing potentially tweeting something against Bibi Netanyahu, it did lead to this firecracker moment. Again, this is one of those things where I go, why am I always being held out to dry? Like,
Are we
hung out to dry
back?
for
I'll be
telling the
listening,
truth?
guys.
Especially when I wasn't going, oh, well, Seth Dillon killed Charlie Kirk. I just, like, this happened. It factually happened. And yet everybody's kind of putting out these weird statements and they're not being honest in them. And I was saying to them, that made me feel really weird. And I would love to know more and about this Bibi Netanyahu offer to fund Turning Point to the next level. At which point Erika said she was not aware of that happening. It is obviously totally possible that that was kept in the business lane of Turning Point USA. But I'm certain, I said, I am absolutely certain that I did not get this from an obscure source that Bibi offered to fund Turning Point to the next level. And it was part of my frustration with that sit down with Alex Clark, where Andrew said, oh, there was not $150 million. That's made up. You know, I told them, Andrew Colvett was my source. Andrew Colvett told me verbatim that Bibi Netanyahu offered to take Turning Point to the next level and that Charlie turned that money down. So I said, there's a bit of a predicament when I'm being like lambasted by all of these voices and people that are attacking me and these paid campaigns. And when I say paid, yes, okay, actually have the names of people. Different ways they're being paid. Some are being paid by PR firms. Too many are being paid by Prager University, which is upsetting to me because I know Marissa and it's just dirty. But it's especially crazy when people are calling it a conspiracy when I share things that are told to me from the spokesperson of Turning Point USA. Okay, that's weird. And yes, they were forthcoming. Nobody's ever denied this, so this was not on our list of lies about the fact that Bibi Netanyahu did call him. Okay, that did happen. Bibi shared that, by the way. Our source for that could have just as well been Bibi Netanyahu. And not a lot of clarity on, I don't know, why some people think he didn't make this offer and why definitively.
We will see you there, Awakened. What time is that? It's going to be at 8, right? 8 o'clock. If you guys get a chance, go check out. They're doing a mental health awareness type show to talk about mental health in the village. Hopefully Awakened leaves a link here in the chat. If not, I can get the link from earlier. But yeah, thanks, and we will see you there. Love you.
3 different sources who would have knowledge of this confirmed to me that Bibi Netanyahu did indeed make this offer. I never said $150 million ever, not once on the show. I wouldn't have even said that, by the way. If you said take Turning Point to the next level, I actually would have assumed it was more, if I'm being honest. That's a hefty offer, and it leads to a lot of questions. So there was not a lot of clarity there. Lastly, I want to add, of course, I was locked in this meeting when people on live were another round of debunking the Egyptian planes. I want to be very clear. We discussed the Egyptian planes, and I have since worked on an incredible document about the Egyptian planes, which we are going to put up on our website, because I realized that when we shared that spreadsheet, people assumed that one of the columns, which was actually saying where the planes landed on that day, because it was plus or minus 3 days, was exactly where Erika had been on that day, and that was inaccurate. And so for clarity, I had been working on the last week on turning it into an interactive timeline that we can put up on our website, because I'm certain that these Egyptian planes are incredibly shady and that they were in fact tracking Turning Point USA faith broader events.
Out of everything, the Egyptian planes are completely is completely real to me. Like that threat, that evidence, that conspiracy seems completely legit. I know just the term like, oh, the Egyptian planes, the Germans. I get how that sounds, just to, like even when she says it, even when I say it out loud, it just seems super funky, like, oh, the mysterious Egyptian planes. There's something to that. And we're all going to find out. And I think tomorrow on the show, I'm going to go to her website and take a look at that interactive document. And because I haven't yet so far, I've left that to Ian Carroll and to others to kind of just inform me, if anything bears fruit, we know Ian Carroll is going to be on top of it. Shout out to Ian Carroll. We know he's going to be on top of that. He is a meticulous information fact finder sifter. He's amazing.
Of course, Erika was at some of them. Charlie was at some of them. But it is the pattern here is undeniable. So let the naysayers and people make videos trying to, fifth round debunk these planes. I also want to say to you that I feel very confident that I know why these planes have caused such panic. And it is because there is overwhelming evidence that these planes regularly fly in and out of Israel. And I'm going to present that evidence tomorrow. I say that strongly. This is I feel very confident saying these Egyptian planes are flying in and out. And notice I'm saying planes because once I was able to connect people that were on those planes onto other Egyptian planes, I was able to realize that these planes are flying in and out of Israel and turning their transponder off each time that they do it. That is now makes perfect sense of why there was this mass panic, right? It's not exactly like we have a strong Egyptian lobby in the United States. Not like we're like, whoa, well, those darn Egyptians again are trying to get TikTok censored. I mean, every person in the game, Barry, acting. Well, these are the usual suspects that act if something is a threat to Israel, okay? Which is, they should have just been forthcoming, pretended that it was changing apart. Instead, they're trying to gaslight us, and they're actually, frankly, just pissing me off. So I became locked in on these Egyptian planes because that's how I am, okay? You keep pushing me and keep pushing me, I will become an expert on these planes. I'll learn how to build an Egyptian plane. And the reality is, like I said, tomorrow I will show you how these planes tie back to Israel, and there's no disproving this. So more on that later. We'll be right back after throwing it to some of our sponsors.
Okay, so yeah, we got the Egyptian planes out of the way. Not too much longer, guys.
Through our partnership with Preborn, we can I go live. If you care about free speech, if you want platforms that respect your right to think for yourself, and if you're tired of big tech deciding what's allowed, and this is the moment that you can make the switch. Your voice matters, and the platform. Download the app and join us there. I'll see you there. Okay, so a couple of...
So I am already on Rumble, guys. I'm going to start streaming, I think, more on Rumble also, especially shows that I want to speak more freely and not worry about certain words and about being shadow banned. So that is definitely, I'm definitely going to start doing that more. But my presence is already there.
Things that I want to say. First and foremost, I just got a live update that I thought it was Danny McCoy on the call log. I should totally correct that, and I will correct that, and we'll be sure to trim it in post here. But it is not Danny McCoy. It is Danny, another one of Charlie's assistants. So I will correct that. Please correct that if you're going to make videos. Not Danny McCoy that called him and then called him after. That is another assistant of Charlie's. So we want to be accurate.
See, that changes it. For me. And I just went on like a little rant. It's still not him being a general though, like they claimed he was. But that he was on, a 10-minute call with another one of Charlie's assistant, that is very, that's different. That's different.
I don't know why I assumed it was Danny McCoy in my head. I may have done that. Okay, another thing. You guys may have been noticing that we are getting into this weird space where they seem to be almost writing like Candace Owens fan fiction. I can't even reply to things, and a lot of you sense that this was because we were getting close. I agree. I fully agree that these attacks, which have grown hysterical, like I can't even begin to tell you the conversations between me And my PR person, I'm like, there's nothing to respond to. I mean, there's not even one sentence of this that is true. Case in point, by the way, New York Post does this article today. We were actually laughing, okay? Like, inside Candace Owens's sadistic and dangerous world, monetizing baseless conspiracies. This is after, by the way, they changed my husband's Wikipedia and said that he was a Qatari, like he had a Qatari passport or citizenship. I don't think my husband's ever even flown over Qatar. I could be wrong, but I don't think I know he's never been to Qatar. I don't think he's ever flown over Qatar. And they're just making it up, and then they make it trend no matter what it is. And I'm like, this is happening. It's like a psychological operation because they're trying to keep us constantly responding as opposed to focusing on our investigation, which is why I spent this weekend and I just kept down on the Egyptian plains because it's completely crazy. And when you see a media storm like this, it can only be happening because Zionists.
I'm going to fast forward, guys.
That would not be. You can definitively get yourself in a scenario where you are willing to sell somebody out. This is a massive organization. How can we so confidently state that nobody had anything to do here, to do with anything here? And I think that one of the things that Erika was like, well, I'm not like a feminist, and I didn't want the vibe of that, which I think it did come across as like a bit of a feminist, to say like, this is all my family. I'm like, how could this all be your family? I know people in this family, and they're not good people. I wouldn't even do that with my own family, okay? I got people in my family, like we all do, you know, who aren't exactly walking a straight arrow in life. And yeah, so I've communicated that. I have not changed.
That's what my family says about me. Just to be transparent, guys. That I'm not. Well, I am now, but you know, there was a time, you know, when the golden boy becomes the not so golden, tarnished boy, then you know. Not walking such a straight arrow. Oh, that's a great pause on Candace.
My position on that. I am not going to stop researching the characters in this that I don't feel.
Also, James, I don't have my phone with me. Hazley has it, but I will try to get it from her to show the picture.
Good about. But further to sort of them just creating and making things up, Tim Pool has now gone out and extraordinarily claimed that I have the same security as Charlie Kirk, and that I'm a fraud, and that actually I have the exact same security. You will recall that Tim just said a week ago that I have no security. Okay, this is Tim Pool a week ago.
She is burning everything down, and she's gloating and smiling while she does it. And you know what you told me? She has no security. She doesn't deal with the we have to deal with. She's a piece of
She has security, just not on the level of you.
Oh, yeah, the one fat guy you mentioned with no wall and no barrier in a suburban neighborhood with neighbors. She doesn't give two No one's out for her. She's lying about all of this. You told me you went to her house and she's got a 4-foot wall and one fat guy, and she doesn't give a about her security.
So that was like Tim last Monday. This is Tim who said I had no security except for one fat guy, which I told you was not true. Now he's saying this. Take a listen.
Okay, I'll say things that I probably shouldn't say, but I'm going to say, because I always get super heated on this. Candace Owens has the same security team as Turning Point and Charlie Kirk did. She's lying. She has the same security people. I've been digging into this. I've been meeting with people and talking with them. And I
Why?
shouldn't say too much because there's more that's going to be coming out soon. Because rest assured, people are filing legal paperwork against her. Candace has the same security team, or has used the same security companies and the same security personnel as Charlie and Erika did. So when she comes out and is questioning them, she is lying outright. Now, I've invited many of these people to come on. We'll see what happens. We'll see when they can. The issue is, the moment Candace goes on her show to millions of
Who
people,
the hell is
lies,
that dude? He's just talking to like Metallica or Megadeth. Yeah, guys, you know, she has no security, you know. And really, he's doxing her he's lightweight doxing her in a way. We call it like soft punking. He's like soft doxing her in a sense, you know, saying, you know, like, oh, she has no security, or she has, you know, this lame security, or she has security at all. He's so hyper focused on it that it's become an obsession with Tim Pool's, and he's really just not a good dude. He's just not a good dude anymore. Maybe he never was. I don't know. But you know, he's a skater. So, and I'm a skater. So I am going to be hyper focused on Tim Pool in the coming weeks.
litigation begins. And what happens when litigation begins? People don't do interviews about it. She is exploiting this, and she knows she is, to keep people wrapped up in this insanity.
Tim versus Tim, undefeated. And what I will also say is that's all a lie. It's almost like they have just sent a call, like they're getting too close, and just said, I don't care what you write. I don't care if it's complete fiction. Make it believable. Say her husband beats her. Say her, like it's coming after my husband. They're coming after me, and they're making stuff up. I have never employed the same security team as Charlie Kirk, ever. We went our separate ways early. Actually, there was it's obviously been publicized before he had Schaefer Security, and Schaefer Security, which was run by Greg Schaefer, who has issued a public statement. They had Dan Flood and Brian Harpool working for them initially. I told Charlie I did not like the security apparatus. I got my own security separate from Charlie from the very beginning. Okay, that's a fact. It just is a fact. There's no way to undo that fact. Trying to do this strategy of you're going to get sued is just threatening somebody. If there was any truth to that, you can't just file legal paperwork. You have to send a cease and desist. You have to say, something you said on your show was untrue. Can you please correct this? Okay. And if I ignore that, as I did with Brigitte, because I told the truth, as I did with Kim Clasey, because I told the truth, then you have the grounds to file something. We have received no cease and desist from Charlie's Security whatsoever. Over what? I mean, the audacity that you're filing a lawsuit and someone got murdered on your watch because I accurately said that the Brian Harpool, the message he showed belonged to Dan Flood. It did. And that they didn't do a walkthrough on that day. They didn't. And if something I'm getting wrong and you'd like to show me that actually you did, send it over. We're only interested in getting the truth, and we're not getting it. We're certainly not expecting to get it from Tim Pool. That is crazy. That's just crazy town. But I do think that is right now the Zionist strategy, and that's why I want to encourage you guys to stay focused. Huachuca, which we're going to have a lot of tomorrow, because there is something there, and I think that caused a panic, as well as the Egyptian planes, which I am telling you go back.
Or Huachuca.
7-10 days in advance.
I think that's enough for tonight, guys. Thanks for coming out. I really appreciate it. I'm going to see what you guys got on the burner over here. If you have any comments or questions. Hey, Chrissy for Cats Noon, good to see you. I'm so glad you're here. Chrissy for Cats Noon says she's on Rumble. I'm on Rumble too. Hopefully I will see you there someday. I'm going to start going live there again. I did a couple of shows and they were pretty good. Yep, they were pretty good. I think I did the show when I did the shows on the prosecutor for the Karen retrial. When I discovered he's an ex-mob lawyer, I actually broke that news. It didn't really go anywhere. I thought it would have gone a little bit more than it did, but yep, I actually broke that. That's me just out here breaking stories. No wonder there's only 10 people here. But anyways, guys, I don't see very many comments or questions in the chat. Awakened is going to be live at 8 o'clock Central Time. So that is 7 o'clock my time. So that's here in about 30 minutes. She left a link in the chat. Let me I'm going to copy that link and put it up again. Here's the link to the show that Misha will be on. I just put it again in the chat. Hope to see you guys there. I love you guys too. Thanks, King Yeti. I love being here with you guys. I love sharing all this stuff with you guys, even though, the show is small now, but it'll grow again. We'll get the numbers back up there, and it'll be a little more exciting, a little more interaction with the chat, the chat and me discussing things. We'll do some recovery shows. Just all the things. I just thought I would come on tonight after the Candace show, because we've been talking about it. Again, I'm not like a 1000% behind, her, but I am behind the truth. I want to know what happened to my bro, Charlie Kirk. No, I never met him, but he's my brother in Christ. And I just think it's awful what happened to him. And we're just out here going as max as possible. But yeah, guys, hopefully I'll catch you guys tonight over on the show on the Village. And Okay, cool, man. Yeah, shoot me an email, King Yeti. It's just antisocial. Yeah, I get it. All right, I love you guys. You guys have fun tonight. Be kind to yourselves. Be kind to each other. Find someone to be intrusively kind to, right? I used to say that all the time. Just be intrusively kind. You see someone with their head down, or maybe they're not smiling as bright as normal. Check in with them. See what's going on with them, because you might be the lifeline that they're looking for. And sometimes when it comes from a stranger, if it happens to be a stranger, man, that's like the most important kindness of all. I've told that story when I was homeless, and that security guard asked me if I was okay, and I just broke down and cried, and he like listened to me. He listened to the things I had to say, and I was completely homeless. I just left the emergency room with frostbite. This is just a few short years ago, guys. Yep, just a few short years ago. So I'm here for you. You guys are here for me. Thanks for showing up tonight, and I will see you guys tomorrow morning. Mahalo.
Stay loud. Don't be woke. Stay wild. Stay awake.